All right, now for the most exciting part of the day, the Shark Tank. 5-minute pitches, 5 minutes of questions. Of course, in my humble opinion, right? All right, let's introduce the Sharks here for a minute. We've got Arash. He's an angel investor, a board member, clinical advisor. He's CEO of Dentool. He's one of the most generous guys I know in the dentistry. One of my very good friends. And always got a guest room in his house for me. I always appreciate that as well. Thanks, Wade. Thanks for being here. Maria Filipova, Managing Director of the 4100 Group. Thank you for being here. Samantha Strain, Chief Development Officer, Founding Partner of HealthStream Ventures. And Tiffany Yu, Principal from 7 Wire Ventures. First of all, I want to thank everybody that's been a part of our Dental Venture Capital monthly online pitch. We just had our 20th pitch. So I've been putting on these pitch events for the last 2 years. And we've had over 500 people sign up. Typically get about 50 people on there. So feel free to connect with me and learn more about that event. 75% of the companies that are here pitching today throughout the entire day have pitched on my event. And 4 of them have pitched more than 10 times. FX, Dentrax, The Gleamery, and Inflatrex. Pronto, Zero Brush, BiteZen, Hesse, and SmartChair have as well. So encourage you all to join us monthly online for the Zoom. Boy, I'll tell you what, it's one thing to practice on Zoom. It's another thing to get up on this stage. So I appreciate everybody's support. I wouldn't necessarily call this sharks, more like minnows and friends. And I'm not saying you guys are minnows, by the way. Yeah, you're sharks, but it's a friendly group. So, all right, first up, we have Brock from BiteZen. You are on the clock.
Let's see. Clear's not working. Okay. Hi, my name is Brock Kravich. I'm the founder and CEO of BiteZen, and we're making every night guard smart, as well as turning every dentist into a hero. Now, please raise your hands if you've experienced any one of these symptoms. Frequent headaches, migraines, neck pain, jaw pain, ringing in your ears, and dizziness. Maybe you've cracked or broken a tooth along the way. Well, I myself have suffered from each one of these conditions, and that's why I spent the last 10 years of my life working on a solution to address the root cause of these symptoms. What I found along the way is that each one of these symptoms is a multi-billion-dollar problem for insurance companies globally. Each one of these symptoms is a byproduct of bruxism, which is unconscious teeth grinding and clenching. So you show up to the dentist and half your smile is gone because you ground away your teeth during the night. Now, bruxism affects 1 in 3 people, but sadly less than 10% of those who suffer are ever diagnosed or receive treatment. However, this less than 10% that is diagnosed accounts for a $7.2 billion global market. Now, the current solution for bruxism is a dumb mouth guard. It's a simple piece of plastic that protects your teeth but does nothing to stop the unwanted behavior of bruxism. What we need is a smart guard. The problem with building a smart guard is the current force sensor technology that's on the market is expensive at scale and it's fragile, so it breaks really easy inside the mouth. So we've developed a patent-pending force sensor material that's a fraction of the cost of the competitors. It's thin, it's flexible, and it's most importantly durable. This allows us to create the Zen sensor, which makes any third-party mouth guard smart. With the Zen sensor, dental labs across the country can make their mouth guard smart, capable of detecting clenching and grinding behaviors, as well as tracking compliance. The Zen sensor sends this information to an app on the patient's smartphone where they can track their behavior, but the patients will also get a chance to upgrade to our premium features, which will give them real-time vibratory feedback to their smartwatch or auditory feedback to their earbuds. And all along, their dentist is getting to remotely monitor the patient along the way and track their compliance. Now, our go-to-market strategy is we're partnering with dental labs because they already have the sales channels and technicians already in place. We're using them to arm patients and dentists with data by making every mouth guard smart. And then every patient that gets one of our devices is getting free tracking to their smartphone. They'll also get to upgrade to our premium features, which will give them relief from their symptoms. Now, in this way, we're making revenue directly from hardware sales to dental labs, but also software sales, ongoing revenue through subscriptions to patients. Now, we already have 6 dental lab partnerships in place. If you look at our competition, they're all going direct to consumer, which means they're going to be competing over price in a race towards the bottom. That's why at ByteZen, we've focused on democratizing our technology for dental labs so we can use them as a force multiplier to reach millions of uninsured and insured patients through their dentist. Now, the market for this is huge. We're entering an over $600 million obtainable market with a clear pathway to a $21 billion opportunity as we scale. We have an award-winning team that's been focused on bruxism assessment technology for the last 10 years, and our previous device won an award in the dental industry back in 2020. Now, just in the last 60 days, we've garnered partnerships with over 6 dental labs, and there's more on the way. This partnership with Remy alone accounts for a $150,000 per month opportunity. Now we're raising $2.5 million of capital, but we're doing it in 2 different tranches. Our current tranche is for $1 million. That's going to help us build ByteZen, scale ByteZen to a $9 million revenue per year by 2028. Traction so far, we have a patent pending, thin, flexible, and most importantly, durable force sensor that no one else on the market has. We have 6 dental lab partnerships already in place that give us access to 1,000 dental practices that they serve. We have a clear regulatory pathway that should take about 4 to 6 months to get through FDA and HIPAA compliance. And we already have $250,000 already committed by Howdy Partners VC in Colorado. But this is just a start. At ByteZen, our mission is to make every mouth guard smart. But I want to do more. We have the team, we have the technology. One day I hope to make every appliance smart. If you'd like to join our mission, you can email me at the email below, or you can scan the QR code and book a call with me. Thank you very much, and I look forward to answering your questions.
All right, let's hear it for Brock. All right, we're going to start questions. So ByteZen was a Celerant Award winner as well. So we're going to start with the person on stage who's also a Celerant Award winner for questions. Raj, any questions?
So this is a strict B2B lab play. You're going to be licensing that to dental labs.
Yes.
So when bruxism is detected in real time, you're sending some type of vibration through biofeedback. Is that the mechanism?
Exactly. Yes, we're tapping into smartwatches because they already have auditory and vibratory feedback there, and also earbuds. Those are 2 common things that people would most likely have in their home that they can use for biofeedback. But we will, in the future, integrate other devices that they would have in the home, but also our own proprietary devices as well for feedback.
So is this going to reduce the severity of bruxism?
Exactly. That's the point, is the interruption of the bruxism to stop that before it gets even worse.
And is there a subscription fee that you're going to be generating revenue from?
Yes. Right now we're concentrated on $60 per year will be the patient's fee in that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I think this is this on?
Yes.
First question, is this on? So I think about it like that you're connecting bruxism to the rest of the treatment plan, the overall health of the user. I do want to double click on the intervention. So you're getting the data, you're getting utilization. How is the data you're getting, I think along the lines where Arash was going, informing the rest of the treatment plan or the behavior that you need to change so you could see impact on headaches, impact on backaches. So that piece, if you could just unpack for us a little bit closer.
So there are a couple of things they're doing beyond just the biofeedback component of it. We're also having like a journal entry feature with the app. So we're recording, how many cups of coffee they drink, how many alcoholic drinks, things that we know that can exacerbate bruxism. So we're tying that data in with, the activity they actually perform during the night, how many times they push and grind. And so now we can take those 2 pieces of information and marry those of like, hey, you should probably not drink so much coffee during the day, or not have a drink of alcohol before you go to bed. So those kind of recommendations. Beyond that, too, is I didn't get a chance to talk about in this presentation. We also have a universal fit assessment device that the practitioner can use to help them get the data they need to diagnose bruxism early. So now we can get patients that are showing those signs of bruxism that's not showing signs on their teeth in terms of wear and tear. And that way we can diagnose them early, put them in either a traditional light guard or one of our smart guards that will keep them in our ecosystem, but also protect them down the road.
Yeah, the only, and I thank you for that. The only thing I would, as a friendly dolphin advisor to look into is behavior change is hard. And so if you are in the business of healthcare, in the business of behavior change, we all know we should exercise more, eat less, drink less, and yet our lifestyle, at least my lifestyle, is different. So telling people that you have bruxism and you are drinking too much coffee is probably not going to cut it for you to see results. And so it's very important to start thinking about attribution of the intervention you're making, and if you're relying on somebody to be compliant with the recommendation, that's a stretch for behavior change.
Samantha, do you have a question?
Well, I was just gonna ask, and I agree with you on that.
It should be on. It should be live.
I agree with what Marie says on that. But I'm not even familiar with how many cases of bruxism. I know you went over some of that, but actually in each dental practice nationwide, like what's the average of a GP doing 2.5 million a year production-wise? How many bruxism cases would we have?
I wouldn't speak specifically to that number, but there's 1 in 3 people clinch and grind their teeth. 20% of those actually go to the dentist to get help for that, like because they're in pain. And those are that only 10% of those are actually getting treated with a night guard or something like that. The thing that practitioners run into a lot is that they'll see the wear and tear on the patient's teeth, but the patient will swear up and down they don't grind their teeth. So that's where the component of patient actually getting this information as well is really important. The other thing, just to answer your concern before, is that the biofeedback is that interruption beyond just the behavioral changes during the day. It's that pattern of stopping them from clinching and grinding.
What is the cost of this device?
So the device to the dental lab right now in our pilot phase, it's $10 per device per module. And then as we go more to full scale of retail, it's going to be $30 per module. We're also charging for the biofeedback portion of the upgrade. It'll be $60 per year.
All right. Any interest in learning more about the investment side from the four of you?
Yeah, absolutely. What's the valuation? What are you currently raising success?
Right.
All right, we're at time, so I'm gonna actually, at the end of this session, we're gonna have all 4 of these startup companies standing right up here. So if anybody's interested in investing or you have more questions for them, we gotta move on. So thank you very much, Rock. Cheers, Rock. All right, up next, we've got Vin Cardillo from Pronto. Familiar face in the dental industry for many years.
What do we do here?
Green button.
Green button. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming. I've spent the past 25 years in the dental industry, predominantly in the DSO space, having built and sold numerous ones of those, and consulting as a fractional CEO, COO for 50 emerging group practices. And during that time, the biggest problem that I've come across in the teams I've worked with is data. So that is why Pronto exists. So Pronto is a practice performance platform. And the reason we built this, again, is the problem around data. One is data is siloed. Every year, more and more practices continue to add technologies around there. So there's more siloed data. The second is the lack of benchmarking, right? People don't know how to perform, how to measure these metrics. Third is hidden opportunities. If you don't have the 2 above, if you don't have the data, or if you don't have the benchmarking, it's very difficult to identify relevant problems. The next thing we're finding more and more is the inability to execute. When these problems are identified, the teams are not prepared to be able to address those problems. And lastly, is there's no accountability. There's really no mission critical performance tracking tool connected to all this data. So Pronto's here, and people are basically living in this data chaos every day. So with Pronto, we're aggregating and integrating data from multiple data sources around the practice. Think about your PMS, your accounting system, your voice over IP system, your HRIS system, all into one unified database. Secondly, we're benchmarking intelligence, comparing performance versus industry standards. Third is our AI decision assistant, which identifies and prioritizes the opportunities at the practice and team level. Fourth is our AI co-pilot that provides education, direction, and support to the team and the office. And lastly is our predictive analytics that allows and helps us plan for our future. We think the market's big. Our focus is on the emerging group practices, which represents 13,000 practices. Our validation is pretty strong at the moment. We have 7 paying clients, around 45 locations. We have 3 key opinion leaders that are using this in their practices. We have 100+ practices in our pipeline, and most importantly, we have 0 turn, and that's with practices up to 18 months. So our competitive advantage, it's a bit different because all we're compared to is, if you think about Jarvis or Dental Intel, these folks are bringing data in from the practice management system only, and they're putting it into a database, and you have to identify and figure it out. The next is an OS Dental that does the same thing as the other 2, however, brings it in from multiple technologies, which creates even more data chaos. As presented, Pronto is a practice performance platform, which is different than a dashboard company. I'm, super humbled to have the opportunity to work with the people on my team for years that have been industry experts. And then the advisors, friends that I've worked with in this industry that are rock stars. For 10 years, we have other advisors also that have helped guide the direction of where we're going. The revenue model is simple, it's $549 a month. Our revenue forecast, we're at $150 a year right now. We're very comfortable that we can hit our 200 location this year. Our goal is to hit 3,500 offices by 2030, so we can get an exit valuation of $100 million. And we're seeking $2.5 million, of which 40% is going to go to IT to continue to develop our infrastructure for scalability and our AI infrastructure. Done.
All right, great job, Ben. Let's hear it for Ben. All right, now we got.
This big intro.
No, that was good. They told me I had to cut the intros for everybody for the purposes of time, and now I know why. But the good news is, after this, we have a 20-minute break, so feel free to talk to all these startups after. They'll be standing up here in front. All right, any questions from the panel?
Maybe to kick things off, I feel like there is a general sense where people want to consolidate software solutions and have more of a platform. In your vision for Pronto, is it an additional system, or is there some replacement dynamic that could go on?
So it's an additional system. We're not trying to be a technology that exists. We're trying to be the monitoring force of all the other technologies that the practice has that people don't look at. So we're a monitoring system. Think about your car, right? You get the yellow light that goes on because you need to change your oil, or because your missed calls has now reached 20% of new patient phone calls, and no one's logged into the VoIP system in 7 months.
So I think this is critical, what you're building, especially for emerging groups, because if they don't understand their data, they don't have anything, right? I was going to ask, though, of the emerging group clients you have, what is your largest, emerging group? Is it 10 locations?
18.
15, 18, okay. and you're able to go up to what number? I know you potentially have 200 on the platform. That's individual offices, but as far as like, could I be a 200 location group and be on your software?
100%.
Awesome.
So the way the technology is prepared and built is for and why we want to focus on emerging group is because we want to give them the ability to have the technology that the larger DSOs have, and we can grow with them. Because the way the industry is today, you don't have the data until you get private equity, and then you got to spend $1.5 million on this technology that's basically a cruel reporting system, and then you throw it away and do stuff over again. So this will be, the future will be people won't have to make that investment anymore.
And also, I just want to say, Ben is a seasoned operator, especially in the multi-location space. So he's built this to suit, which is very helpful because dentistry is nuanced.
Very much so.
Can you give me your valuation?
10 million.
Well, how are you raising that? Is it a direct equity round or
No, it's a safe.
any discounts?
20.
Okay.
For you more.
How much have you raised so far?
Well, this is our first event of raising. We haven't raised anything, so it's been my personal money and my CTO partners, technology, sweat equity.
There's nothing harder than doing that.
Excuse me?
There's nothing harder than doing it that way.
Yeah.
It's a good way to do it, though.
Yeah, my hair
Don't
just got a
bring
little
in
bit
money
higher.
until you have to. Yeah.
Great job. It looks like a great product. And I love that you're incorporating AI into it. Are we going to be able to get to a point where we can have a conversation? Is
100%. That's our
actually replace a consultant?
AI co-pilot. 100%.
So, quick question, just to piggyback on that. But if I'm an operator and I buy 10 licenses, so I can have it for all my operations team, correct? Or-
Correct. Yeah. The price is per location.
Okay.
However many licenses you want to use per location.
Okay. And cloud-based.
Correct.
Just some friendly advice. I feel like you could be more aggressive on your revenue forecast.
Yeah? Great. Cool. Give me a call. We can talk about
If
it.
you want to fund that growth, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
You're here. Yeah, that's good.
You should invest. Obviously, I'm underestimating here.
All right. Well, let's give it up for Ben. Thank you, Ben. Great job. All right. Up next, the Mark Aniola from FX. All right.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Mark Aniello. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Ethics. At Ethics, we're transforming how dental practices manage compliance. Today's compliance is fragmented, manual, and reactive, yet the risk and regulatory pressure has never been higher. Ethics is cloud-based, dental-specific compliance intelligent platform that automates your workflows, reduces risks, and gives operators real-time visibility. In the next 5 minutes, I'll cover the problem, our solution, traction, sorry about that, traction and why Ethics is positioned to lead in this category. The problem, dental practices are operating in a high-risk environment. Regulations are increasing, audits are more frequent, and expectation around documentation, training, and incident tracking keeps rising. Practices are juggling licensing, credentials, policies, trainings, audits, incidents across multiple systems, or worse, doing it manually. This creates three major problems: elevated regulatory, reputational risk, significant staff burnout and high turnover, and lost productivity. When incidents happen, responses are reactive instead of proactive. The leadership lacks real-time insight, and compliance has become a growing operational burden rather than a managed business function. Ethics solves this by delivering all-in-one, dental-focused compliance platform. We digitize and automate the entire compliance lifecycle, training, credentialing, incident management, audits, equipment, and documentation into a single system. What makes Ethics powerful is real-time analytics, alerts, corrective actions, allowing practices to identify and mitigate risk before it becomes an issue. The result, simpler audits, reduced stress, confidence that compliance is always under control. We know the market opportunity is significant. Global dental practice software market is continuing to grow at a robust rate. Growth is driven by increased regulatory complexity, accelerated cloud adoption, and rising demand for AI-enabled niche solutions. Dental is underserved by compliance intelligence platforms, which positions Ethics to capture meaningful share with the fast-growing SaaS segment. Our traction, Ethics has real traction supporting over 4,100 users across 336 locations and more than 100 customers today. That adoption proves demand, validates our dental-first approach. In a market full of generic compliance tools, Ethics stands out by being purposely built for dental practices and fully integrated. We replace fragmented point solutions with one platform, driving faster adoption, stronger retention, and a clear competitive edge. Our revenue model is simple and scalable. Ethics operates on a reoccurring SaaS subscription model with additional revenue from onboarding and professional services. As customers grow, add locations, and expand usage, revenue grows with them. We scale through direct sales, partnerships with DSOs, compliance consultants, and integration with dental management platforms. This model gives us predictable revenue, strong margins, and efficient expansion across multi-location groups. Our go-to-market is a multi-channel strategy, built specifically for dental practices and DSOs. We're going to drive that inbound demand through targeted digital marketing and thought leadership, then scale distribution through partnerships with associations, suppliers, and compliance experts. That's reinforced by focused inside sales and referrals, accelerated through key industry events like today. And together, this creates efficient, repeatable customer acquisition. Our funding ask, we're raising $2 million to accelerate our next phase of growth. Capital will be used to expand our product development, enhance automation and AI capabilities, grow sales and marketing, and support customer success as we grow. Our model is capital efficient and built to scale through multi-location DSOs, providing high retention and expanding average revenue per user. Revenue grows from just over $1 million in 2026 to more than $21 million by 2030, with an EBITDA turning positive in year 2 and reaching nearly $13 million by 2030, driving strong flow and clear path to profitability. Our team brings deep experience in compliance, dental practices, and SaaS operation. We understand both the regulatory landscape and the realities of running a practice. Ethics turns compliance from a liability into a strategic advantage. We welcome the opportunity to explore how you can be a part of that growth. Thank you.
All right. Great job, Mark. Good job. I've had the pleasure of working with Mark for over a year, and you're making compliance hot. This is sexy. Somebody's got to invest in this today. Let's go. Any questions?
What's your cost, and what are you retailing this at?
Well,
Per license?
yeah, it's a subscription based on location. We have 3 types of users. We have what we would call the site administrator that's going to see everything. We have something called a power user, which we look at the people that are going to be doing audits, incident management, maybe driving training and stuff. And then we have the users. We want all of the clinical staff in the system. So our current model looks at those 3 things. Generally right now, our supervisor administrator is at $30 per user, our power user at $20, and all other users at $5. And then we look to drive some revenue from obviously setup and additional what I would call technical assistance.
This may be a basic question, but how would you encourage practices to think about ROI? Are you is this in kind of increase revenue, decrease cost,
Not going to jail?
fines?
No, I think that's an excellent question, because who is driving compliance in a practice? Billable hours, your hygienist, your assistants. If we can reduce that, and what we're really doing is reducing that burden. We're digitizing it, we're automating it as much as possible for them. And that's some of our AI right now is looking to almost build that, you want to call it a virtual compliance assistant. We want to reduce that number, and that's where it comes in. Obviously, though, we know the cost of non-compliance. We know the cost of having a breach, security privacy breach. So those are the things that we want to avoid that and have that disruption. So we see, the return on investment isn't obvious initially, but when you look at, what is happening in the practice, in most cases, I'll be honest with you, compliance is not being done. So that's the risk. I want to make it so it's done and it's visible to the decision makers to see what that risk is and how to correct it.
His answer was better than mine. It was a good answer. Any other questions?
I mean, I think it's a fair question because the urgency for staying compliant only comes up when something goes wrong and then you're in firefighting mode and fixing mode. In the interest of thinking about your exit path, I'll ask you the question I ask myself when I look at these companies and companies like yours. What needs to be true for this type solution to be bundled into the standard practice management system we sell?
Excellent question. We've demonstrated already. I won't go into the details, but we've integrated with the practice management software. And when we've talked to that individual in his company, he says it helps drive actually the sale of the product. Because I don't understand why we have a gap in the compliance side. We love the idea of integrating into dental management software and then also working with strategic partners. We talked about Uptime Health. We were able to integrate with them with the DSO and their payroll software. So we're trying to build that ecosystem where it's a single sign-on, and then all this data we're collecting, we should be able to drive decisions. So AI is going to be very instrumental in gathering that data and giving real-time data to the operations people and to the practice so that they can drive good decision making.
Yeah, I mean, sorry. To be able to make compliance, to position it from an afterthought to being ambient, right? To even, dare I say, being a competitive edge. I don't know how many people would go into a practice and pay more because it's compliant.
Right,
No.
that's not the state, but there's ways for you to think about it, and I see you going down that path where you're ambient and you're part of the competitive positioning of the company rather than.
One of the problems we're seeing right now, and I think all dental practices will talk about, is the high turnover. What are today's technicians and clinical experts looking for? They're looking for technology. They don't want to do it on paper. They don't want to do it on spreadsheets. They want that technology to be first rate and be able to drive, working at a place where they really have the technology so they can do what? Deal with the patients and do what they, learned their practice to do.
Yeah, there's components around credentialing and education and all kinds of other things. But all right, let's give it up for Mark. Good job, Mark. And for those that are interested in meeting with these startups, not just money and investment, but it's also important to provide advice, input, feedback, help them avoid landmines that we all know they're going to run into. So these four guys will be standing up in front if you want to chat with them right now.
I'm not great at selfies.